What's going on, guys? This is Kaishro. Welcome back. So we are back with another content. On this video, we are going to cover the OCG local metagame report and analysis of the Philippines in February 2024 in this month of love. So this report covers the local tournament and OCG metagame landscape of Yu-Gi-Oh in the Philippines. So this will be a very pivotal information to us to see which decks are doing well after LEDE or Legacy of Destruction that is recently introduced to us. So this article will cover 128 top performing decks from February 1 to February 28 in 2024 in some well-known locals in the Philippines. So we have a coverage and scope of tournaments and communities that are actively making games and tournaments for our Yu-Gi-Oh players in the Philippines. So we have Kaido Willis, Tabletop Community, our community, and Toy Shogun, Duel Bacolod, and Yu-Gi-Oh Davao Mindanao Gaming, Iloilo Yu-Gi-Oh Association, and Yu-Gi-Oh Dumaguete, and Order of the Duelists in Albay, and as well as Memorabilia YGO, and also community Yu-Gi-Oh Community Zambales and Yu-Gi-Oh Infinity Valenzuela. So these are the scope of our report right now, and our tournament results are based on them. So moving on towards our metagame percentage, we have Voiceless Voice at 12.5%. Arguably the best deck in the Philippines right now, maybe. And I think Voiceless Voice had a massive representation this month. Especially they have gotten the support of Voiceless Voice Blessing. But Blessing of the Voiceless Voice, I assume, from LEDE. Followed by Fire King, Sinful Spoil, Snake Eyes, the arguable best deck in the OCG right now with 10.9%. And we have Chimera at 7.9%, 7.8 rather percent. And this is very surprising, no? Chimera have been really good since their support from LEDE, which they had illusionist cards to empower the deck. And also Tenpai, another new deck from LEDE, which also got the same percentage of 7.8 in this report. And next we have Fluanderies, the migrating birds are back once again in the meta, pestering meta decks on the format and stunning the opponents with 6.2%. And also Snake Eye Sinful with 6.2%. And Centurion, very surprising as well, also supported from LEDE with 5.5%. And others with huge chunk of 43%. So we can already see how diverse the OCG metagame is in the Philippines. So we have a deck tally of Voiceless Voice 16, 15 Voiceless Voice, and 1 Voiceless Voice Dogmatica. And we have Fire King, Sinful Spoil, Snake Eyes with 14, 13 Fire King Standard build, and 1 Fire King, Sinful Spoils, Tenpai. And we're going to see this deck in our video now because we're going to see featured decks on this report. And also Tenpai with 10 reps with 8 Tenpai, 1 Tenpai Centurion, and 1 Tenpai Artifact. Next we have Chimera with 10, 5 Chimera, 3 Chimera Horus, 2 Chimera Branded. And next we have Snake Eyes in full with 8 Fluanderies with 8 Centurion, 7 4 Centurion, and 3 Centurion Horus. And followed by the others in the category, other decks in the category. We have Runic 3, 1 Runic Bestial, and 1 Evil Twin Sprite Runic. We have Magician, so 2 Magician and 1 Sinful Spoils Magician, tallying up to 3. We have 3 Manadium, 3 Adamantipator, 2 Adamantipator, and 1 Adamantipator Super Heavy Samurai. We have 2 Branded and 2 Melodious, another fresh deck from LEDE. We have 1 Melodious and 1 Melodious Supreme King, another interesting deck on this meta. And next we have Vanquish Soul on 2. We have Sky Striker on 2, 2 Invoke Dogmatica, 2 Kashtera, 2 Goblin Bikers, and 1 Purely, 1 Supreme King, Ziark Magician, 1 Matmech, 1 Salaman Great, 1 Rescue Ace, Sinful Spoils, another Fall from Grace, no? We don't really see that much Rescue Ace in the Philippines nowadays. And also 1 Labyrinth, another discerning factor on this metagame is we only have 1 Labyrinth. And I think Labyrinth has a poor matchup against Fire King, which inevitably lowered the reps of this deck right now. Next we have 1 Unchained, 1 Nubel, 1 Infernobel Knight. We have 1 Fiend Link. This is very interesting as well. And 1 Ice Barrier, 1 Sword Soul Tenyi, 1 Tearlaments, Goodness, and 1 Dinosaurs, 1 Eldritch, 1 Altergeist, 1 Rika Sanavalon, 1 Traptrix Naturia, 1 Orcus Horus Sinful Spoils, 1 Scarecrow Horus, 1 Naturia Horus, and another 1 Spiral Horus, bunch of Horus decks on this category, and 1 Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk, and 1 Mechanico Dogmatica, 1 Virtual World Adventurer, 1 Cyber Dragon, 1 Dragon Maid, and 1 Bestial Blue Eyes. Kaiba would be proud on this topping list. And last but not the least, we have 1 Shinobird. So, this is the metagame overview of our results. Now, we can browse the photos attached to this. This is the analysis and report of the February this month. And as you can see, we have Voiceless Voice and Fire King being the top 2 best decks. We have Chimera and Tenpai following them. So, we are going to discuss the top performing decks on this report. So, dragging back on our post, we have Voiceless Voice at first. So, Aaron Joshua Balboa or Kaishiro, myself, went 11-01 overall on Kaido Willy's local tournaments, namely Kaido Willy's weekly tournaments and Battle Frontier games, using a Diviner-less build. So, according to myself, he doesn't have the luxury to buy Diviners. And I think Diviners are very expensive on my end. That's why he opted to play this version, focusing on playing more hand traps to have wider coverage of matchup spread on this diverse format. So, Kaijiro also finished 11th place on the recently concluded BLS Normal Monster 2 tournament in the country without Diviners as well, pointing that Voiceless Voice can be played in a budget manner, and he also hoped that budget players may find inspiration on his list so that they can have a top tier deck without spending too much money. So, Forbidden Droplet is not common choice for most Voiceless Voice players, as it can backfire against you if you lose too much hand size advantages, but he still ran 2 copies on his side deck to address the mirror match, and as well as the other combo decks that can establish a board with a number of negations. Those problematic boards can overwhelm the weak going second capability of the Voiceless Voice. So, droplets can be a remedy on this problem of the deck. Next, we have Fire King, Sinful Spoil, Snake Eyes. Joshua Oriano went 6-0 on both Pod 1 and Pod 2 of Nick Collectibles weekly tournament in Zambales. Shoutouts to Gapo community using Fire King, Sinful Spoil, Snake Eyes. Koreano adapted the Delta and Gamma package trend in Japanese Fire King decks to better suit in his side deck against the popular decks on the format, such as the mirror match, of course, and of course against Snake Eyes, Sinful Spoils matchups. So, by using the Delta to nullify the spell card usage of his opponents, Koreano trimmed also the copies of Fire King Island into 1 to slot in more hand traps on the deck, such as Droll and Lockbird, which can be very handy in the local metagame to stop popular decks like Chimera and Fluanderis. So, we already saw that Chimera and Fluanderis are heavily played in the OCG scene of the Philippines. He also played a stellar performance on the recent BLS Normal Monster 2 tournament in the country using the same deck, bagging him a 15th place outing on the big event. Next, we have the surprise on our report here. We have Chimera. So, Renz Pongko exhibited a top-notch performance on the recent Azrak Guild Edo Pro tournament that had 70 plus players, as he only fell short on a second place finish using his Chimera deck. Chimera had an impactful support from LEDE or Legacy of Destruction, boosting the consistency and resiliency of the deck from that moment. Pongko also had a brilliant series of games on the Kaido Willy's Battle Frontier games, which he scored a 5-1-1 stat line on week 2 of February 2024 Battle Frontier, and ended up being first on the week. And Pongko included Triple Tactics Trust on his side deck to fetch a toolbox of spell cards like Talents, Feather Duster, Heavy Storm, Dark Ruler No More, and Lightning Storm to have a plethora of options to address various types of decks and tricky matchups using his formidable Chimera deck. So, moving on, the last deck of the most represented decks on our report, we have Tenpai. Jude Thomas Cruz went first on the recent Battle Frontier Feb 2024 Week 3 in Kaido Willy's as he demolished his opponents using the tenacious board-breaking capability of Tenpai and absurd high damage output that can dish during the battle phase. A new deck coming out from LEDE but quickly delivered promising performances on the metagame. Tenpai became a new favorite among many players as it offers a unique way of playing the game, shying away from the usual go first mentality into a high offense going second prowess this deck has. Cruz also begged to differ on his previous builds of Tenpai that runs multiple board breakers on the main deck, as he opted for more hand traps on his Battle Frontier decklist to have more avenues when his opponent wants him to go first, given that the deck wants to OTK or one turn kill most of the time. So the summary is LEDE imposed a drastic change on the Philippines metagame, boosting the likes of Voiceless Voice, which earned the top spot in this report, Chimera, which had tremendous results this month, Tenpai, who became a powerhouse instantly on the meta, and ultimately decreasing the numbers of the undisputed best deck, Fire King, Sinful Swirl, Snake Eyes, offering a more diverse format for the community. So below are the graph of this metagame report along with the feature deck list if you enjoyed. So yeah, we are going to see the decks here. So these are the tournament references. You can also see the data and basis of our report. So moving on towards the featured list in our video, we have the Voiceless Voice of mine. So I have discussed earlier that this is divinerless. So this is less consistent, but I do have more rooms for hand trap to have better coverage on different matchups. And yeah, I think it worked pretty well on my end, but I do suffer from breaking as well. And I do hope that I can find money to buy diviners moving forward to make the deck more consistent. And I would really not recommend this build if you have money to buy diviners, because it is less consistent and you're trading your key cards for more hand traps, which is not that optimal. And I can just suggest this build for people who wants to pick up the deck and doesn't have luxury to buy diviners. So you can just copy my deck and innovate it on your own to improve it. So I think I can definitely say that this list can be a very good reference for people who wants to play Voiceless Voice on a budget note. Next we have Fire King decklist from Joshua Coriano. So pretty standard, no? Most people in Japan have opted to play the Delta and Gamma, which can be very powerful on the meta right now. And I think this is still the best deck in the OCG, and this report only shows that Voiceless Voice is more accessible in the Philippines because Bonfire is very expensive for Fire King, and other cards on the deck like the Sinful Engine and the Promethean on the extra deck are very expensive for common people like me, and I wouldn't want to play and invest too much money on a deck. That's why many people, including me, have resorted into playing Voiceless Voice over Fire King. That's why it already have many representations in our report. But overall, I think Fire King is the better deck, and I think if you have money and you have a really huge reason to win the tournaments, I think you should definitely play the Fire King over Voiceless Voice right now. Next we have Chimera. Very interesting, no? I think Chimera is a very powerful deck, especially in the Philippines. We have Chito Orasimo winning WLS Normal Monster Tournament recently with his Chimera as well. So Chimera has been popularized in the Philippines, and I think it will definitely go that way if people will not respect the deck more, if they don't have the answers to nullify and mitigate the plays of Chimera, they don't have the proper side deck cards to combat the Chimera. I think Chimera will still continue to perform in our country. Next we have Tenpai. So this is very interesting, no? Most people are divided into playing Tenpai. Most people plays Chimera in a Cyber Dragon like game where they play more board breakers on the main deck like Droplet, Lightning Storm, Duster, Heavy Storm, and also other going second cards. But I do prefer that Tenpai should be played with more hand traps. Not only it proves the going first of Tenpai, because you have hand traps that can be more versatile than go second board breakers that you cannot use when you go first. So I think hand traps can be much more valuable on that department. Next we have the featured list on our report now. We have the semi-finalists of our rookie tournament, Rookie Cup 2024. We have Christian Lara, Matmec. So this list is very intriguing because Matmec hasn't seen that much representations recently, but I do really commend this tapping performance from Lara, and it definitely shows that if you are a very devoted player on a deck like Matmech, for example, as long as you have the proper tools on the deck, like this, he has very good amount of consistency with Signet Mining and Small World, and he also have rooms for hand traps like Nibiru and Veiler and Imperm, Bell, even Bell on the main deck. You can definitely address most of the meta decks on the format right now, and I think it's a deciding factor whether you play the deck, no, whether you love and know how to play your deck. I think it is still very okay to stick with your deck. Just have countermeasures to answer the format moving forward. So I think this is a well executed list from Lara. And moving on, we have Kenneth Mercader Centurion. So this is the recent trend of Centurion nowadays, no? Most Centurion players are incorporating floodgates on the deck like Kaiser Colosseum, Diffusure, and Skill Drain. So I think this can be a very interesting advancement from the Centurion players, but I think this is correct. I think this is the right way to go because Centurion doesn't have that much gas on going second, and also it doesn't really compare on the pace and tempo of meta decks. Centurion doesn't come close, so I think Centurion have the approach to slow the tempo of the game and dictate it using the floodgates to control the opponent. So I think this is the correct way to play Centurion right now, to play more hand traps and floodgates to be able to handle the match on your own accord. Next we have Voiceless Voice with Dimension Shifter on the side deck. I think this is very interesting on my end because I have tested it a couple of times as well, that I played Shifter on my testings on Edo Pro, but I found myself really shellacking on that department because I do feel like that this can really backfire hard against you. But on good hands, or if you have proper hands to play around Shifter, I think this will be an instant win button against Fire King and Snake Eyes. So this is really a double-edged sword from John Russell C. But he topped this tournament of 77 rather, or 70 plus person event of Azrak, and he managed to do it using his Voiceless Voice with D Shifter on the side deck, and I really commend that performance from Russell C. Next we have Infernoble Knight, the winner of that tournament. Imagine 70 plus players winning with a rogue deck like Infernoble Knight. This is a really amazing feat from Ivanhoe Evangelista. So I think this is a showcase of his mastery of this deck, and most people doesn't really have answers to choke out the Infernoble. If they don't know the choke points of Infernoble, they will be steamrolled using this deck because it has a lot of lines and combos that can definitely bring out oppressive boards on the meta. Next we have Melodious, and I think Melodious is a very powerful deck as well on the meta right now. It has rooms for tech cards and hand traps and consistency cards on the main deck. Like this, he even played Talents and Evenly Match on the main deck. And the deck is very spacey, This is like a mid-range deck that has a lot of tools to work around. So this can be very versatile on the meta. You can cater your main deck options to cater on your locals and metagame scene. And you can definitely benefit from that because of the spacious nature of the deck. And also, the deck has solid going first. It sets up a lot of interruptions and disruptions around your opponent. And I think this is a budget deck as well, It's not that expensive compared to Fire Kings and Snake Eyes and Tenpai, even Tenpai on the meta. So I think this is a very good deck to pilot right now. Next we have the Invoke Dogmatica from Jason Caballero. So Winda is the name of the game on this list. As long as you summon out Winda and you control the match using the Judgments, the Iron Thunder Hammer, and your Shadow Schism, of course, you can definitely win the game. And I think Invoke Dogmatica has a decent spot on the meta right now because they have avenues to play Winda, and you can also incorporate Sinful Spoils on the deck to make it more consistent and resilient. Next we have, this is a very interesting from Charles Araneta. This is a very good player in our local community in the Galleria ranking tournaments, and I think he really cooked with these 10 pi artifacts, and I think it really boosted his going first capability on this 10 pi. We have Trap Trick and Sanctum on the main deck to have tutors to Artifact, Sight, and Lancea. And this is very innovating from Charles Araneta. And I definitely keened my eye on his list. Especially he played MST on the main deck. And I think MST can definitely have rooms, especially if you are playing around time. And I think this can be a good alternative for Cosmic Cyclone. But he also played Cosmic Cyclone on the side deck. And I think this is a very well executed list from Charles Araneta. Next we have Trap Tricks Naturia. Goodness, this can really destroy meta decks out there. The format is really consisted of more spell traps. On the main deck, we have Bonfires, we have the original from the Snake Eyes, Sinful Spoils, and a lot of spell cards on the meta right now. Fluandris has a lot of spells. Runic also have a lot of spells. Chimera also have a lot of spells, and Voiceless Voice as well. And if you can establish Natura Beast on your going first on this Trap Tricks Naturia, you can definitely auto-win against your matchups around those top meta decks on the format. And I think this can be a very nice list on the format right now from Jill. And yeah, moving on, we have from Kurt Elo, the spice on our report now. We have the Fire King, Sinful, and Tenpai on one deck. Imagine that. The Fire King and Sinful definitely improves your going first capability using this Tenpai. And I think Tenpai can directly win you games when going second, especially if you can bait the hand traps and interactions of your opponent using the Fire King. When you start rolling with Tenpai, you can definitely win the game from that. And yeah, I think this is a phenomenal list from Kurt, and it is worth wondering why on Wix on this report. So yeah, this sums up our report. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you do learn something from this video, and this video can be informative to you. So once again, thank you for the continued patronage on my YouTube channel, as we are nearing 1K subscribers moving forward, and I wouldn't really reach that milestone without you guys. So once again, thank you. And yeah, I think this sums up our report. So see you on the next one. Peace.